Hi everyone. In this video, I'd like to go through a short exercise where we find the truth table for the logical statement P if and only if Q. So let's get right into it. So recall from my video about propositional logic, P if and only if Q is the same thing as as P implies Q and Q implies P. Now, if we want a quick recap as to why this is true, it's because, well, an equivalence basically means that P implies Q is the same thing as Q implies P. That is, the order in which we write the implies arrow from P to Q does not change the truth value of the statement. So P implies Q is the same as Q implies P. So what we need is P implies Q to be the same as Q implies P. So P implies Q and Q implies P, have the same truth values. And that's why this we can write P if and only if Q as this expression over here. But this is really helpful because we know the truth tables for P implies Q and the AND truth table. We figured this out in my propositional logic video again. And I've written them over here because they'll be useful in figuring out the truth table for P if and only if Q. So let's do it right now. We want to figure out what does P implies Q. Well, let's just read off the table. So true implies true, well that gives us a true. A true implies false, well that's false. A false implies true, well this is a bit tricky, but we figured it out in my video and we know that this is true. So go watch that if that's a bit confusing. I try to explain it. And then false implies false, well that's true. And now we want to figure out what is Q implies P. Q implies P is just P implies Q, but in the reverse order. So we have to do true implies true. Well, that's going to be true. A false implies true. Well, that's going to be true. Again, it's a bit tricky, but we know it's true from my video. We have a true implies false. Well, that's false. And a false implies false, which is true. So now we want to find what is P implies Q and Q implies P because of this statement, remember. And we said that P if and only if Q is the same as this same expression, the same statement. So all we have to do now is just read this P and Q truth table in accordance with what we've written over here. So we have a true and a true. So a true and a true corresponds to a true. So we write down true. A false and a true, well that gives us a false, true, a false. So we write down false. A true and a false gives us true, false, false. Again, we write down false. And true gives us, well that gives us true again. It's the same as the first row, which we know is true. And so if we disregard these two columns and only consider these three, well then this gives us our truth table for P if and only if Q. And that's a good place to stop.